Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, everybody. We'll get started whenever some people roll in. Shark Busy. I like the name. Good morning. How are you? Interesting. Good morning. Good morning. We'll probably wait a few more minutes or whatnot and let some people stroll on in here before we really get going on everything. Good morning, Rico. How are you doing today? But for the moment, everything is already on the screen for you guys. We started mapping this off kind of like yesterday, right? But pretty much all the boxes are covering, pretty much, what we're getting in the market, if you will. Actually, it should be down to there, like that. And this should arguably be over to here. So far, I mean, pretty much market down, bounce to resistance, roll down, right? That's pretty much what we gotten. And each one of those boxes emphasizes the trade or the market that we've entered for each day. And kind of, yeah. Anyways, you get the point. So we'll wait a little bit, see some more folk roll in, and we'll get rocking and rolling. All right, yeah. Sorry, I was just still sitting there doing pretty much nothing. Yeah, like I said, we'll get started here in just a few. Actually, we'll start with Bitcoin. Why not? So Bitcoin pretty much doing still everything we'd expect it would probably do. Where is it at? Actually, hold on. I think, was this on a different screen? 1 second. Must not have been. Must have deleted what we did yesterday. Huh. Oh, I see what's going on. Oh, that's lame. I see. Alright, well, just accidentally deleted everything on my chart, so that's always good. Alright, I'm gonna have to redo all this stuff on Bitcoin here. So, anyways, give me just a sec. So as we said, obviously, the counter retrace target's going to be to these VWAPs. So, the fact that we didn't do it like right now is okay. It just means it's going to happen later. So that's completely fine. So basically, Bitcoin's still doing what we'd expect, right? Which would be bounce and then sell. We just didn't bounce into the targets we want. So that means this is all untested. So at some point in the future, we're going to use that for a pullback target back to the upside. But anyways, I have to redo this stuff because Bitcoin is going to be going down to pretty much the next levels down for me, and that's going to be somewhere to here. Load style. Yep. Okay. Cool. That guy, and then this one. All right. So pullback target will be here. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. We'll get kind of talking here in just a second. So pretty much those are the targets down for Bitcoin right now. So let's go back to, I accidentally deleted all this yesterday on accident. So our counter target over the past couple days was as high as the red box on the upside. Obviously, it's shying it, failing to go there. So that just means we're going to go down to these targets first as well. So, which we already pretty much did that, right? We've gone to, this would be T1. We'll call this T1. And then we'll call the one below T2. Oh, no. T2. T2. And then we'll call this one down here, the next one, T3. So in the short term-ish, those would be, excuse me, the levels that we're looking for the downside right now. And this level zone up here, it's just going to be used at some point in the future, just later is all. So it just means we'll use that later at some point. But, and actually, what we should be doing now is we need to start anchoring to this last daily high. So this is the rule. So this is pretty much the rule. So this is the move down. This is the VWAP zone up here. So we'd expect what? Counter retrace to VWAP zone and then bearish. All right. Well, that doesn't always happen, right? Sometimes you do what? You do exactly what we did here, which is go down, bounce, not go to your pullback target, and then roll back over. So when that happens, that means we repeat the process we did up here, but now we do it on that high. And that's going to give us a new VWAP zone down. And that becomes our counter target first before we would ever look back up to here. So essentially, since we did not go up and test our current daily VWAP lower high resistance zone, we now repeat the same strategy and process just on the new leg here. You can't see it because it's only just started like today, so it's going to need a couple more days here to populate. But in a couple more days, what we're going to have is we're going to have a VWAP coming off this candle like that. And what you'll see is we'll draw a new box just like this and go, this is our new counter retrace target off this VWAP. And we'll still look for this upper VWAP zone. It's just going to take place at some point in the future. And it's only going to be able to happen when you get above the VWAP zone that's not even really there. We're just making all this up because we know what, essentially I know what's going to happen, right? It's not going to, you're just going to get new VWAPs off here. We're going to have a new VWAP zone come into play. And we'll just say 3 weeks from now, the market bounces to the VWAP zone, right? If we get through this one, then we can go to the one above. Right, so either way, basically all we're doing is just looking to take Bitcoin down, probably into these T1s, T2s, T3s for now. And then if support's found, then arguably we're going to do a little bit of a bounce, and we're going to take it back to this VWAP, wherever that VWAP calculates to. So that's arguably the next kind of thing we'll see in the Bitcoin market come to fruition over the next couple days or weeks or whatever. Again, just kind of depends. You just got to let the markets breathe a bit and do what they got to do. Let me actually take a peek back on some of this other stuff. Yeah, and so really all we're doing, guys, right, with Bitcoin is you just look at this. So this is what we were using in the past. So, when this entire Bitcoin market was going up, right, these VWAPs arguably are what we were using to predict the weekly uptrend, right? So the same thing you're seeing me do here on the daily chart, how we anchor to the high and then look for resistance to roll into it there. Same thing we did back some time here with the weekly Bitcoin chart. So essentially what? You have your lows, we anchor to the lows, etc., or breakout candles, yada, yada, yada. And then what are we going to do? Then we're going to expect Bitcoin, when it's ready, will pull back into these weekly VWAPs, and that's where we look for weekly VWAP support, high or low, up. And then, again, what do? We take the VWAP. You'll see in here, I'm going to move this one real quick to this low. All right. And so this is arguably how we start looking at where, that next weekly potential bounce can be, so on and so forth. So we've already been using these weekly VWAPs before. But also, if you look, the volume weighted average prices, not only of these two candles, but also this one down here. So all of these volume weighted average prices from these candles have yet to be tested. So pretty much all of this right here, these three down here, like that right there, this box I'm drawing, that's all weekly volume weighted average prices that have yet to be tested on this move up. So essentially that's always been an expected price point that we would come down to in the future, right? Same as when we look at the daily chart right now and we see, oh, the volume weighted average price of this high has not been tested here on the daily chart. Though it's not doing it right now, it will do it at some point in the future. And we'll be there for it because, just obviously, we'll watch it, right? We'll see it happen. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, we'll see all this stuff play out sooner than later. So good morning to you, Steve. PD Trades, good morning. Rico and Shark Busy. Your name reminds me of the new pharmaceutical drug. Well, I don't know how new it is, but I keep seeing commercials for it called Sky Rizzy. So when I was saying your name, I was thinking of Sky Rizzy. Also, whoever came up with the name Sky Rizzy for a drug, I wonder what drugs that guy's on, actually. No, I'm kidding. That's fun. Well, anyways, so that's what's up with Bitcoin. We have all these untested volume weighted average prices. So assuming we come into there a little bit, and then lastly here, maybe not lastly, but you're not going to really see that aggressive, really breaking down selling pressure on Bitcoin unless it gets through what? Unless it gets through this weekly volume weighted average price zone. Because this is where all the real support is that's been over the past, call it this is back since May of 2025, arguably. This whole entire long move, right? Look at, ready? Bounce, roll, bounce, up, roll. So it's all right where all the sell targets that we currently have on this weekly scale, right? That's all the big time support trend that needs to hold, or else you'll end up having a market that does this. Okay. Now, regardless, I'm just explaining that that's where you would actually have to be concerned, right? Right now, we're just simply pulling the markets back to support. We haven't really broken down any significant trend, in my opinion, that would cause that catastrophic sort of bearish market movement that, would probably seal the deal for a lot of optimism on the bull market, right? So this is still our basically entire support trend. Once and if that starts to give up, then that's where we'd expect more of that kind of potential movement of the market. Otherwise, it's just going to come back down into here, and then we're going to do one of these. We're going to bounce it a little bit, then arguably set up. So, Yeah, let's give it some time. Also, you guys know as well as I do that October of 2025, which is where we're currently at, specifically for me, the date of October 13th is when the Bitcoin bear market was supposed to start. Exactly. Whether or not it exactly happened on that date is never what we're really going for, but in terms of actually having a specific date and, calculation, for me it was October 13th. All right. No, Shark Busy, you keep that name. I like it. Don't you, Rico? You're stirring the pot here, mister. But what was I saying? Yeah, so October 13th was the date that I came up with. Did I really think we go into a bear market on October 13th? I mean, not exactly, but kind of. To have it happen exactly on that date would, yeah, I mean, if that happened, great. But just kind of anywhere in this October area is where, again, we would expect a bear market to start. That's also under the assumption that the 4-year cycles repeat to even some degree, right? There's a lot of talk of, well, the 4-year cycles aren't going to repeat anymore. That may be true. I couldn't say one way or the other. Let's just say that they do repeat, but only 50% of the correlation, right? So even if the 4-year cycles start to repeat, but have less confluence than the past, then they would still have some confluence to a degree. And so let's just say the drawdowns aren't as bad. Let's just say the 4-year cycles aren't as don't have as much volatility and explosiveness to the upside. Right? If that all stays the same and the 4-year cycles, timing stays the same, then yeah, we're about to be in a bear market. Now, let's just say the degree of the bear market isn't as bad as the past one. So, okay, maybe we don't go down 55, 60%. Maybe we go down 35, 40%. I don't know in that regard. Because we're talking in like what ifs, right? So what if 4-year cycles changed, right? If 4-year cycles didn't change, then yeah, we're going into a bear market. It's starting right now, and the price is going to go down to like 50 grand, 55,000. That's going to happen. If things repeat and rhyme very similar, that's going to happen. The discussion is that not going to happen because of adoption, mainstream media attention, introduction of ETFs, etc. All right, let's say that those don't happen. Then maybe we're supposed to still be going up. I don't know, right? So for the sake of our stream, we'll just say that 4-year cycles have changed a little bit. Even if they changed a little bit, right? And let's say that they don't want to go down as bad, then yeah, maybe we don't go to 55, maybe we drop out to 60. Maybe it's 70 something. Again, I don't know. But if we're supposed to have any sort of bear market on Bitcoin with relation to past ones, then yeah, we're basically getting ready to start / already started. All right. So just remember, the whole Trump tariff thing, whatever the news was that happened last week that started to crash or like tank crypto, that is, I mean, I guess it's a catalyst, but, we're not on this stream. We've always thought in October we would start seeing bearish trading environment on Bitcoin, irregardless of what the internet says is the reason at the time. So if the internet wants to pin this one on Trump and the China tariff thing, so be it. We just expected 3 years ago in this October is when we would start a bear market. All right, so just keep that. Yeah, don't keep that or whatever. That's just what it is. All right, cool. I think we're all good on Bitcoin. Also, if you guys want to take a look, there's a stock SSKN. It's a little penny stock. That's a stock I took a little bit of a long on over the price of $2. I actually just sold a little bit now and locked out. Not that I think it's going to do amazing or great, but you guys can learn from that penny stock. That's one that I decided to buy into today. And if you guys go through everything I taught you, you should be able to figure out why I bought that one today. Again, I don't think it's going to be the greatest stock in the world. I don't think it's supposed to be anything. Again, it's just triggering uptrend, so it's a little bit more of a favorable stock if you wanted to pick. I'm not saying you should do anything with it. I'm saying you should look at it, review it, and go, why would he pick that one possibly today over the last 20, 30 minutes to take a long on, as opposed to any other ones? And you should be able to figure it out as long as you've paid attention to the things we've said over the past few weeks. All right, so we'll get back into the SPY. I'm going to, oh no, well, nah. I'm going to redo our little text stuff here. And I'm going to make sure to save it. And actually, I think I'm going to do this. I mean, I could do it on this one. That's fine. So this was... Let's do this on a 5-minute. Alright, so there it is. I got that remapped off. $1.94. So that's perfect. Alright, so yeah, you took SSKN just before the break of, let me just double check. I think that was the 4-hour trend. It might have been a 30-minute, but I thought it was the 4-hour. I could be wrong though. Yeah, so it was the 4-hour uptrend start. You basically were buying in the anticipation. Honestly, with the volume and kind of how the candles looked, I probably could have done the same. I actually bought it on the retest dip myself. Yeah. But anyways, nonetheless, that's a great move. Yeah, so SSKN, very simple 4-hour uptrend start today. A little bit of a long press, but yeah, so I'm happy you picked that one. That's good. So yeah, that's the stuff you look for in the morning. Penny stocks that are just starting uptrends and knowing where those uptrend start levels are at. And yeah, so anyways, SSKN, pretty decent one today. Not bad. So yeah, guys, ultimately, this is what we have seen so far over the past couple days with the stock market. And actually, I got to add some other stuff. Somehow I deleted a bunch of stuff off my chart from yesterday, and I don't know how it really happened. But yeah, so far we've done a sell move, right? So the other week, whatever, when Trump destroyed the market, that was the start of a selling program. From Friday's close into Monday morning, we did an oversold bounce within a bearish trend. The oversold bounce took us back to the selling program's volume weighted average price. at which point we got resistance. Remember we talked about that yesterday. Like, I hope the market gets like whacked from here. It could have a really good move down, etc. They just basically held us at resistance all day and then used, again, the early morning hours futures to manipulate the market down. So if you wanted to be on the big sell leg, you had to sell yesterday, hold all day, wait for after hours manipulations down or pre-market manipulation down in the futures to really capitalize on that. Or be up early and then obviously trade in the futures market or whatnot down, so on and so forth. So again, we've had a selling program start, an oversold bounce within a selling program, resistance at the selling program VWAP, and then through the after hours and pre-market session, a continuation of that sell program from resistance VWAP, aka use pre-market to manipulate markets down. And as it sits right now, we are still in a bearish trading environment, or we are in a negative environment. We are not in a swing long, positive trending market environment. So the narrative is we overall remain bearish the stock market just in general until it goes back into a buy signal, or until we break out the volume weighted average price of the selling program so that we can start squeezing short sellers. That's a lot to take in. Let's rephrase. When do we go long? When the trend turns positive, or we squeeze out the short sellers from the selling program, or unless the market gets so drastically oversold that it's too obvious and you have to buy an oversold bounce. Kind of like into Friday or whatever. EDHL, yeah, I haven't looked because obviously I'm going through our main analysis. EDHL. Yeah, wait. Actually, yeah, that one, same exact thing. Same exact pretty much setup. I mean, obviously not same exact, but very close. And let's see, it doesn't really have a back test yet, but if it does, that could arguably be a decent one to look at. But yeah, exactly, Steve. Same sort of scenario. It's, obviously turning positive, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, that one's obviously got supports in like the 56 cents area. So either it's going to have to basically just break out and keep going, or else it's going to get weakness and most likely sell down to 55 cents or 56 cents or so on EDHL. All right, so that's all that. So let me open up this real quick. I'm going to go to a different chart now, but if I do that, it's going to ask me to say, wait, no, you have unsaved changes. Well, how do I save them? That's the question. Save. Huh, that makes sense. Yeah. Oh, well, hold up. I had all this on this chart, but it didn't populate earlier. See, I don't know. Sometimes TradingView confuses me, but either way. All right, so we're going to actually it looks better on this, but either way. All right, and then this we go this guy would be settings. Past that. All right, perfect.
Obviously, we're following right now the top-down 30-minute volume-weighted average price. So that would be the pre-market high up here. It's not on the screen, but obviously, right? So this would be our 30-minute pre-market over-under. And then obviously, if we throw the guy on the low, settings low, 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 that one's going to be the previous low here. All right, so that's good. So these are two main areas for the open. So this is pre-market. etc. on that one, but anyways. So essentially, this one is the resistance over under, and this one would be the support over under, etc. So, yeah, lame. So, yeah, that's that. Let me just double check some of the VIX stuff. Dang. It faded all the way up yesterday, I guess so. Pretty much. Straight up there, let the VIX come down to support, and then re-rally out. Oh, EDHL pumping. Who would have thought? Crazy, crazy. Well, I mean, I'm not going to really take credit for that. It's just the system. It's just how the game works. If stocks go into uptrends, again, they're a little more likely to go up. Again, we don't really. Oh my gosh, EDHL up to $1 from. Again, we started. When did we talk about that one? Well, it's really all thanks to Steve there, but so I do appreciate that. We're up about 50% on EDHL from the pullback low during our discussions of that. Yeah, 50, 40%. Not bad. Not bad at all. Pretty good. Actually, you know what? We probably should, because I can't see all the stocks moving at once. It's just not possible, especially with running the stream. Try to, but yeah, basically, Steve, if you ever come across another EDHL, let me know if there's time. I'll take a peek at it and give the opinion if it looks okay next go around. Actually, see another one that I'm looking at too today. I think I saw this one earlier. CYN. CYN's another one. It's kind of one where we already broke out and we already back tested, so we don't have that for us. We already broke out, back tested, ran. So it's one of the ones where it's like, does it continue or not, or does it do a correction pullback and then a bounce? So still watching CYN around the $6 price point too. So anyone paying attention. CYN $6 price point is where the uptrend started today. So CYN basically has two options the way I'd read that. Either it's just going to keep going at the open, which I never bank on, or it's going to pull back towards the prices of $6. So it's like, arguably, it's like if you wanted to buy CYN, this is what I would say. You have to risk, 60 some cents to the downside, right? Because it could fall all the way to $5.99 before it bounces. And if it does, well, that would suck. All right. Versus EDHL a second ago, when EDHL was pulling back to like 60 cents, it only had support at 55 cents. There was 5 cents risk down there, and then it ended up jumping up to 90 cents. So it's risk 5 cents for 45 cents there so far. CYN, it's like you'd have to risk 60 cents down to get, I don't know, whatever it wants potentially. So anyway, CYN's another character today we're kind of keeping tabs on. All right. So personally, I don't really care for the way the VIX is positioned today. It's kind of far away from some particular levels that I would normally look to use, so I don't really have that going for me. I mean, if my chart would ever work, that would be great. Thank you. I mean, I just don't, I don't have any trends on the VIX that I would like to use for the moment. So today's a day where probably not going to be using the VIX as much going into, say, like the open. I mean, I'm still going to look at it, of course, still use it, but the levels that I would all look to use are kind of far away for right now. So the VIX and the markets are going to kind of just do whatever they want to do and allow some of those SMAs to catch up on the VIX. So today probably going to be leaning quite a bit on the market internals going into the open for the day to get a feel for, markets bearish, bullish. Not going to be using the VIX for that too much for the moment because the levels that I would use are just so far away. So probably going to be leaning on market internals more so at the open. Yeah. We do have a gap down, so we are going to run the SPX fib to the downside so that way if we do get some continuation, removed one. Yeah, that way if we do get some continuation on this gap, we'll have at least a decent idea of where SPX wants to trade down to. We had 161 there. About QQQ. QQQ's got an algo this morning, so probably at least down into there. 5 men. I mean, yeah, if we do get some continuation down today from the gap, again, we'll probably look towards like SPX 161s and or the 161s of QQQ, which for right now may be down as low as 590.81. So again, we'll just kind of see when the market opens and see if that's how the market internals are speaking to us. What's going on with our friend Bitcoin? Bitcoin's down even more. Oh no, Bitcoin is selling into our targets. That's crazy. Or wait, wasn't it already there this morning? Yeah, but I think it's hit another one. But either way, you guys know what's up. Bitcoin, there's a lot of weird stuff on this chart. We'll just clean some of this stuff up. I know you guys are like, well, but yeah, either way. So Bitcoin's going to sell down. And once, and so, right, we bounced here before. We rolled up, tried to take it as high as the counter trend levels here to then have resistance down to these targets, right? It caught resistance prior. That's fine. So now we sold down to the previous low, which would be like T1 areas, right? Once market gives up this, we just pretty much go to there and or there, right? And that will be next. So don't be all optimistic on Bitcoin right now. We've already covered this. It's probably going to be selling down into some lower levels. And if we're correct and the bear market is starting now, a couple days ago, this October, specifically October 13th was my day, then majority of what we're going to be seeing for the next year and a half, 2 years is lower low, lower high trading on Bitcoin. And we will continue to cycle lower lows and lower highs through the 4-hour daily and weekly for the next like year and a half or 2 years, which basically just means when the market goes down, it goes down, then it hits a low, and then it's going to backtrack the 4-hour, then the daily, then the weekly. That's usually how things work. You will go through your smaller time frames first, and then you will go to your bigger time frame. So let's just say, for example, the market goes down, right? And then it starts to bounce, and then it does a 4 hour retrace, right? And then it does a daily retrace. After the daily, would do the weekly. So, anyways, that you guys probably don't even need to know all that, but either way. So, cheers. I'm gonna go get a coffee real quick before the market opens, and we'll get rocket and roll and have some fun. Probably predict a bunch of prices of where things will go, and then I don't know. Probably look at the news, giggle because I know they're all bearish right now. The news headlines are probably telling you the entire world's over, yada yada yada. Which obviously, because that's we're in a selling operation, so the news is most likely going to be bearish, whether it's you know orchestrated to favor the direction of the market while all the big banks and people have already gotten in short days ago, or whether or not they just don't know how to write anything else about what they see going on. So, anyways, I'll be right back. Alrighty, market pretty much, yeah, market open there. If we get continuation to the downside for 161 today, we're arguably going to see the prices So like if we actually get like legit follow through on this gap, we'll see down towards like 65585 on SPX or so, which is, yeah. But again, we haven't seen gap and go strategies working very well for some months now, so not really banking on that for the time being, but hopefully. What do I think of APLD? I'll pull it up on another screen and just keep tabs on it for a second. Let's see. APLD, as far as like real, I mean, just it's just in a long-term uptrend, is the way it looks. So looks good. I mean, it's definitely a little high. Wait, well, let's see. Again, guys, just to reiterate, for the moment, the market internals are not extremely bearish, nor are they extremely bullish just yet in the market. But yeah. So looking at this stock, you said APLD. APLD is hitting +3 and +4 on the daily chart, which means it's extremely overbought. Yeah, I would say APLD is not in the most ideal buying location. You're actually coming into a very, very statistically overbought location, so you should probably just let that thing chill a little bit and or pull back or reset some longer term or reset some moving averages, things like that. So pretty much it's in an uptrend. It's not in a downtrend. Actually, did it flip into a downtrend? It's in a long-term uptrend is what I'm getting at. But long-term uptrend, statistically overbought. Yeah. I have no idea what the start time in the UK time would be. I'd have to Google it. I wouldn't know off the top of my head. All right, so far, the market's not really bearish, and it's not really too bullish, obviously. I'm just looking at the market internals here. The only thing that's even moving a little bearish are some of the FANG names. Aside from that, pretty much everything else is bouncing. All right, so we'll see. Again, I usually don't like to be long bias even for micro trading if the FANG are selling off. Generally speaking, if the FANG are going down, normally the market's going down, right? If Magnificent 7, big market cap stocks are selling off, usually the market's going down. Very rarely do big name stocks sell off and the market go up. That's not usually the case. So we're still leaned a little more on that sell side, even in the short micro term, because of the way the FANG stocks are moving right now. All right. And remember, our gap and go target for SPX is basically this 1618 you see on the screen. So this is going to be like best case scenario short today. That would be, again, like a full-blown gap sell-off down to 161 extensions. That would be sweet. Doesn't happen very often. But either way, enough talking. We'll just chill. Alrighty. But who? Oh yeah, APLD too, Mr. Yeah, I can't pronounce that, but APLD, I would also assume is going to pull back to the price of like $33 and hold on, $33 and like 20 cents or so. 33.26. Wait, no. $33. I'm sorry, I keep trying to get my cursor on it. $32 and like 20 cents or so is where I'd expect that's going right now. That's the 30-minute trend level, so I think it's going to try to test its 30-minute trend, which is right around that price. Or the 30-minute trend's going to catch up to it either way, but big sell-off there from the market so far. Okay, not really big. It's not gigantic, all right? I don't want to say big, but somewhat decent. So again, like we said, we're getting that kind of continuation. Let's change this to the Anchor View app chart, or what? Yeah, we'll change it to this chart. So just Again, for the 9 of you guys that are in here, not a ton of new faces, but we still appreciate everyone that's tuning in. So most of you guys have probably already seen this from yesterday and know what we're talking about. So this is exactly everything you pretty much need to know about the market over the past couple days, explained within its market environment, right? So we've had a bearish sell signal operation start, and then we sorry, let me move this over to there. Again, we have a bearish sell signal. Yesterday's trading was an oversold bounce back to resistance. Yesterday's whole entire trading day since the open was pretty much a resistance accumulation at the VWAP. To then open up the market, manipulate it down through the overnight session, and now into the regular trading hour session, hopefully continue that sell move. That's so far kind of what we're seeing, what we'd expect. With the continuation of a sell move, right? So it's just, so if you want to, try to simplify the market into categories and different like strategy, if you will, right? This would be a breakdown. This would be an oversold bounce. This would be a rejection of resistance. And then this would be a continuation of a sell leg, right? We're not looking at, is this a bull flag? Is this a cup and handle down here? None of that. It's just bearish, oversold bounce, resistance, continuation down. All right. Oh my gosh, the market is trading bearish. Who would have thought? That's crazy. It's like, how would one have known today that the market would be more favorable to be bearish? I gotta go to CNBC. I gotta figure out what it is they're doing on CNBC that they're almost always on the right side of the trend. How is it that CNBC is almost really never on the opposite side of the market? I don't get it. I gotta figure out what they're doing. SPX, wrong chart, sorry, let's flip that over. This guy, save, yes, save, we want to save. I don't know why it keeps doing that, it's weird. I don't know. Again, guys, oh my goodness, I hate when the highlighter tool is always on, so annoying. Anyway, so you guys know the deal. Right now we're looking at what, that 161 on the downside. That would be like best case scenario, gap and go sell off target for right now. Hold on, we might have hit some other stuff. Oh yeah, we're coming in, we're getting close to the selling target for QQQ today. We actually just hit one of SPY's targets at 654.47. The NASDAQ has another target at 590.81. So just an FYI, we are coming into some algorithmic Fibonacci targets right now that we don't discuss as much here, but basically the SPY just hit a sell target and the QQQ is coming into one. So the only way we're going to get this 161 target is if the SPY breaks below the current low of day and pre-market low, as that is a 161 target. So essentially we need SPY to get below this sell target, which is the low of day, and then we can go and get the SPX gap target. But for the moment, we're kind of running into a little bit of a scalpable support area, so do be careful. And again, the stuff that I'm talking about is more of some of my business partner strategy. It's really what we kind of teach more so in our private groups a little bit. Still kind of keep some of the stuff we work on and do a little bit, private, but not entirely. I mean, he's made YouTube videos about all this stuff, but again, it's more stuff he's kind of solved and figured out, so I don't really, share as much of it, because again, that's more his thing. But either way, I still pay attention to it. That being said, the price point of $654.47, give or take, is a 161 sell target for SPY, and the price of $590.81 is a 161 sell target on Fibonacci today for QQQ. So in order for us in the immediate to go down and get that SPX target that we're talking about on the 161, we're going to need SPY and QQQ to fail their 161, right? So as SPY, let me just do it this way on SPX. I'll just make it up because it's the same thing, really. So right here, on SPY, or this is really SPX, but I'm just going to use the same chart. So this is really SPY's 161.8 sell target via algo candle. All right. So that's a SPY 161 target. And then this down here is the SPX overnight impulse gap down 161 extension, aka gap targets with follow through down. All right, so pretty much right now we have sold the market off on the day. We've hit 161 sell target. In order for the market to get the next 161 via SPX, it's going to have to take out that low and give up that 161 counter support. Then we shake that out and we go to there. All right. Also, what did I say? QQQ. Here's another little kind of tidbit of information in here. QQQ's algo target is 590.81. So 590.81, right there. All right. So now QQQ is arguably next up. So QQQ's target comes in here. So again, we still kind of have a little bit of a QQQ over under here. So even if we do sell down a bit more, we're still going to have to work QQQ through its 590.81 sell target, etc. So on and so forth. Again, we didn't talk as well. We did briefly about 161 having a 650 447 and the NASDAQ having a 590.81 move, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, you get the point. All right, there's pretty much the completion of the QQQ 161. It's not a true tag, obviously, because it hasn't hit 590.81, but as far as completing, that would pretty much be completing. Now it's all about basically, does QQQ fail this little price point, and that will allow us to take SPX, right? So see how SPY is still over the 161. Right, and now, I don't know why I don't have the QQQ favorited here. It just doesn't really make sense to me, but QQQ. I used to. I don't know what happened or why it like disappeared. Add it back. Yeah, QQQ. All right, so looking over at QQQ. Now you need QQQ to fail, and then basically what's going to happen, we're going to sell this market down, and we're going to go get the SPX overnight impulse gap down 161 extension, aka gap targets with follow through down. All right, all that good stuff. Like, how on earth, where did CNBC figure this stuff out? You know what I mean? Like, what? How did where? These dudes at CNBC, they know what they're talking about sometimes. They're not bad. They do a pretty good public service. They really do help the people. Great people they got over at the CNBC team. Great people they got over at the BRN network. Wait, that doesn't make sense. Over at BRN. Well, BRN network wouldn't make sense, but BRN does, yeah. Anyways, what's going on with Bitcoin? Bitcoin is just bouncing in our sell target. So again, that's all pretty much normal stuff. Wait, it did go down to the yellow. So we are now into the yellow, but it's supposed to be an exact. So wait, let me just double check. Oh, dang it. Is it deleted on this screen? No, it's not. Okay. Oh, I see why I did double, because that is this guy and that's that low. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, so we're just doing a small little counter bounce in our over-unders. Da, da, dun, dun. Okay, I'm going to take off this little squirrely yellow line as we come into our 161 sell target destinations for the day.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to call job well done there on our early morning sell move. I think that's a good spot to lock on the sell. Not that it's not going to go lower, yada, 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 but in terms of a momentumous selling target move for the day, that's good in my book. Why? Because if I look at today's overnight gap on the market and run a Fibonacci, we've already pretty much hit 161. So for the markets to go further than that, they would need a drastically big sell-off day. So I think that's a great sell move for the day. And if the markets want to go lower, cool, don't care. If they want to bounce from here, I mean, sure, probably have a little bit of a bounce. But yeah, so that's my sell target destination for the day, pretty much completing. And yeah, that's it. Cheers. Also, see how today nothing really sold off besides the Magnificent Seven. So if I would say take a look at my screen for a second. All right. I know you can't see, like, these aren't zoomed in very much and probably don't look like a ton, but upper left, upper right, middle, whatever. The only markets selling down today were the Magnificent Seven. So what does that tell us? That tells us that the market, if the Magnificent Seven start to get some footing, is going to bounce decent. It'll have a decent tradable bounce, right? Because nothing else is selling off. So the reason for the downturn, realistically, is mainly Mag 7. So if they stop selling, then we can bounce the market because nothing else is selling. So you only have to look at one sort of like piece of the market to go, okay, if you guys can just chill out on the downside, we'll actually bounce the market. But we also know what? That this entire down move we've been seeing for the day is built off the back of the Mag 7. So A, if they keep selling, then we're not going to bounce, right? And then B, we don't want to see a trade of hands, which is everything else turn bearish, right? So if the market's going to bounce, it's going to be because the Mag 7 start to go up and none of the other markets start to turn down. And then, again, you're going to see the markets put in a little bottom here and start to bounce a bit. So like I said, you should be kind of locking in profit on the sell move down, most likely. And then, obviously, whenever a sell move completes, you generally see an opposite reaction, aka bounce, right? So whenever you see the market bouncing, kind of like it is now, just know that we probably just completed a good sell target. So now the shorts are closing, which is going to add back buying pressure. And if you're closing the shorts, then some people are going to get long and yada, yada, yada. You guys know the story. It's all been spoken about on CNBC. Come on, YouTube algo, hit us with the flip, yo. Also, I do have a meeting today. I have a meeting to get to at 11:30, so I'll probably be online right up to about 11:20 or so today. So we got another hour and basically 20-30 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, the market is bouncing. That is crazy. Who would have thought? Wow, wow, wow. Again, go ahead, make sure to hit the like button, make sure to subscribe, and make sure to hit the notification bell if you do not want to miss next week's baking class. We're going to be making some great chocolate chip cookies, maybe even some oatmeal raisin. So if you want to be a part of that, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button. If you've come for the stocks, you're in the wrong place. All right. I'm going to take a second, just kind of go through our penny stock world, see if anything else cool has taken place. Our SSKN did okay from when we talked about it. What else is moving? It looks like they threw off a miniature buy on SBLX. That one's still kind of, we'll see. What's this guy doing? RCKT? I don't know. It's kind of late. You will come to find that I pretty much pass on almost every single penny stock. I only, unless they're basically just starting, and just Steve, you're probably still watching. I think just like SSKN or EDHL, unless they're right at the start of an uptrend, I usually just don't even mess with them. Ooh. See, that one's kind of... what are you going to do? Oh, wait. I was supposed to add on that one today. Kind of missed it. Oh, yeah. By the way, guys, the market is still in a macro bearish environment. All right. So we were talking about the market bouncing a little bit. We're not talking like market bounce, full on recovery. Not that that couldn't happen. It's just not generally the first thought when the market is in a bearish selling environment, right? We're normally not thinking, just mega longs. But anyways, you know what I'm talking about. But like I said, we're watching the market internals right now. So if the Magnificent Seven start to really turn around, then we're going to have a great bottom, which so far they're holding. And we just got the MACD to turn positive on the Magnificent Seven. These things can change. MACD momentum can change quite often and frequently. But as far as market internals go, when looking at the MACD, the only reliable time frame, at least that I found, will be the 1 minute. And I think it's because there's such a combined ticker that anyway, so 1 minute stuff works pretty well. We just got a 1 minute MAC cross on the FANG there. So until this thing starts to print red candles or flips that MAC back to red, then the bounce will probably do okay and stay okay. But like I said, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in on just this chart alone. So if you guys don't have it set up, you can just kind of keep peeking back in at this. We're going to keep this up for a moment, right? You see how the MAC has turned green? This is a combined ticker of Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Meta, Google, Nvidia, Netflix, Tesla. So between all of those stocks combined, they're creating positive momentum, all right? And it started like, 5-10 minutes, that started like 5-8 minutes ago or whatever. So 5 to 8 minutes ago, right? 8:46 and it's 9:53, 4-7, 7-8 minutes. 7-8 minutes ago, momentum across major market cap stocks flipped back to positive intraday micro bullish momentum at the low of our sell target, okay? And now they're kind of moving positive. They've even put in a higher low. You can see the market is bouncing. Why are we bouncing? Because remember, when we looked at the market internals, the only thing moving bearish today were the Magnificent Seven stocks, if you will, the big names. Everything else has been moving bullish. So we know the control of the sell move was being done by forcing down the major market cap stocks. Thus, we can draw the conclusion. If we can slow the sell move on the Magnificent Seven, we can do what? We can bottom bounce the market. And that's what we're doing right now. All right. MNTS, did you hit a nice one? Let me see what you did this morning on MNTS. Okay, that's that's exactly the type of trade I would take. That is 100% the trade I would basically do. What you're doing right now on MNTS. Clearly, I'm not in it. I'm not involved. But like I said, like looking back right now, hindsight 2020, what you just talked about. What do you say? The back test of $1, or you said waited for the test of 4 hours. Yeah, that's exactly And look at how crappy it looked all pre-market. Well, not all pre-market. Hold on. Let me bring it down. So yeah, look at how
Hold on, I gotta get out of this. I gotta zoom out a little bit. A little 5 to 8. Well, one. Hold on, I'm being all silly here. Right. So look at how crappy this stock looked all from here or down. Right. So it looks terrible, looks terrible, looks terrible. But then look at the perfect bounce at support right there. So even what looks to be really bad can still have a decent trade, right? So this isn't by any means the world's best bounce, the world's best trade. It could turn into something phenomenal, even better than what we're seeing. But in terms of a tradable setup today, MNTS totally had one, and you took advantage of it in a great way. And that actually makes me very happy to see that you did that. Yeah, so from the back test area, this trade is up 16. Well, from absolute low, which you never get lows, but we do it for fun, but absolute like low point to high point here is a return of 17% so far. So you basically, by following that system and that strategy we talk about, you're able to, return 17% on your invested capital today. Whatever money you decided to invest today, you're basically so far able to get about a 17% return on your money, which is phenomenal, right? So, great job, Medi. Or wait, no, that was not Medi. Sorry, I read that wrong. That's Steve. My bad, brother. So, Medi, you're in the private group. If you listen in every morning, he will explain exactly the targets that we were just talking about. Today, he will go over them. He probably has them in YouTube videos. I wouldn't know exactly which ones, but I'll ask him if there's if he has a specific YouTube video that I can go back to for you, and then I will send you a link like tomorrow or something or whatever. So I'll ask and see if there's a specific video he knows, but for sure, if you kind of tune into those private streams as well, you will definitely see him cover that. I know he's also going to launch a course this year, and the proceeds of the course will go to cancer research. He beat cancer this year. Maybe it was the last year, going into this year. Either way, my business partner Brandon was fighting some pretty severe cancer, and thank gosh he was able to beat it. And so along that, so on and so forth, he will release a course of all the stuff he knows, and the proceeds are going to be going towards cancer research and so on, right? So very cool. So obviously, if you want, you could learn more of his stuff through that. But nonetheless, we are going to be moving our platform pretty soon from where we're currently at, which is a WordPress site, to some other company, and so it's going to be more of an all-in-one. We've always struggled to find somewhere where we could have content uploaded while doing live stream and have some sort of like chat room functionality. That's good. Functionality. And so we're going to be making that move here pretty soon. It's taking a little longer than I would have wanted, but it's been kind of busy. Either way, so we're making the switch soon, and we'll now have like material and live stream all in one place. So that's just something that we've always kind of struggled as a company to have, is everything you kind of want in one place, and you're just always having to tie together different softwares and this company and that company to hold your content and then streaming. It's always been kind of a pain. So that being said, me, Brandon, we're going to have all of our stuff and like videos in one place where our live streams go on too. So it should make things a little bit more kind of in-house control. So anyways, I will ask too for tomorrow and see what comes up. Medi, hell yeah, $200 profit in 15 minutes. I mean, right there, you can't complain, right? So, that sort of trade will not always work, right? Some will fail. There was Excuse me. There was one I was looking at today with that similar setup that I ended up not buying and ended up failing. I don't remember the name, but if I find it, finding it, I just have to kind of look for a second. If I find it, I'll let you know. Dang, AQMS went gnarly yesterday. I actually forgot to write down that stock that was getting a bunch of activity the other day, too. Again, guys, right now we're just kind of like long bouncing the market because, again, we hit our sell targets down for the day. So, and do you really think the market's going to come down and take out that low immediately without bouncing? It can, but it usually doesn't, right? So we just had a low, oversold, bounce back to resistance, sell back off down to previous low and sell targets, now bouncing momentum up, right? So for as long as the market internals kind of stay running right now, this move will kind of hold up. So yeah. Bitcoin still just pretty much doing what we said it would do, which is pretty much just go down. Whatever happened. CYN. Aha, I got him. That's what I thought. So remember, we were talking about the stock CYN today, and we told you, just in general, that it would fall back to $6 or so. It even went as low as 571, which is the 30-minute. So the 30-minute uptrend and the 4-hour uptrend level for CYN were priced at $6 and $5.72. And as you can see, right? So let's look at this one. This is a great learning example, right? So what did we say today on CYN? We said CYN is arguably one stock that I may be watching because I know it started an uptrend today. So this is one that I'll keep in the back of my mind that is a potential, right? So we know that it started an uptrend at these prices right here, 560, 571, right there. So basically the two yellow lines is where the uptrend starts, right? So we know it did what? We know that it started an uptrend, and now it's come back down to the uptrend start, right? So this morning, we're like, we're kind of looking at CYN. It's a potential candidate today. And we said there's two options. Either CYN has to just keep going up, right? Or it's more likely to do what? Sell all the way down to 6 and, well, arguably 570 if you're looking at the 30-minute. I only said 6 because I wasn't really looking at the 30-minute when I was talking to you guys. But either way, fall back down to $6 to 570. Why? Because that's where the uptrend is at, all right? So instead of breaking out and continuing, it's now done the back test, right? So this would be areas where you'd maybe look for that bounce, right? So you can see exactly where do the two bounces within this sell-off start? Right at the yellow lines, right? So right at the 4-hour uptrend back test and at the 30-minute uptrend back test, right? So the two only bounces within this sell move come exactly at the price points we would have told you in the morning pre-market before the market even opened, right? So that's a perfect example of how you can measure risk, right? Oh, CYN, should I buy it at $6? I don't know. I'm going to have to potentially see it pull all the way down to $6 or 570. So maybe not, right? Again, guys, right now we're just staying on the long because, like I said, we are bouncing pretty good. So remember what we said. Look at the Magnificent 7 ticker. If this flips positive momentum and we keep printing green candles and the momentum does not change back to bearish, we will continue to bounce the market. All right? So you're going to do what? Pretty much just continue staying long bias for the moment. Also, that being said, we're still in a macro bearish environment. So we're just bouncing the market because intraday momentum from that low is suggesting to do that for the moment and still, right? So, like, see how we're starting to get a red candle here? All right. We would need to print multiple red candles to really change the degree of this bounce, and or we would have to slow down the buying pressure on some of these other markets, right? So look at the advancing declining issues on my screen right now for the New York Stock Exchange. They're just straight up, right? So it's like, okay, New York Stock Exchange, straight up, advancing declining issues. So those are all getting bought there. Let's look at here. These are the S&P advancing declining issues, all just straight bought up. Okay. Let's look at the advancing declining issues here. This is the NASDAQ. NASDAQ advancing declining issues, just bought straight up. Okay. Let's look at the advancing declining issues of the NASDAQ 100, so the top 100. Pretty much up. Okay. And now let's go look at the big market cap stocks. Combined ticker. Those actually pulled back in the morning and then went straight up. So now, oh, I see why the market pulled back in the morning and now we're just bouncing it straight up. Okay, got it, right? So the only way this bounce is going to stop is if these stop and or collectively all of the other markets started to go bearish. Because, for example, the Magnificent Seven were going down today, while pretty much the rest of the markets were kind of grinding towards the upside, and we still sold the market off. So even if the rest of these rolled down, would they still even be enough to knock the bounce off track? We'll see. But either way, momentum right now is still favorable on the upside. Okay. Also, if you're thinking about golden pocket stuff too, well, I don't know about that. Actually, we just hit the GP of the algo there. It's kind of interesting. Let's go back to what was I gonna do? What am I thinking? I don't know. I'm brain farting right now. Oh, that's supposed to be QQ. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Alrighty. All right, yeah, sorry about that. I was just kind of looking around, not really doing a whole lot. Time we're at 10. Oh my gosh, it's only 10:12. Feels like it's already been a whole entire morning.
Let's see. So, let's see. Tesla entered a downtrend pretty much last night. This morning, Nvidia entered a downtrend last night. This morning, Netflix, or sorry, Meta. Hard to say. Don't really know. No. Netflix looks like that may have entered a downtrend last night. All right. Market is starting to bounce up a little bit. Great job, Medi. Another 300. Total 370. I love it. Love to hear it, brother. Good stuff. Um, yeah, nice. What was the next one? Maybe if you don't mind me asking. That maybe added to or something. Oh, the bounce is doing so well. So good. Um, we might even see. Let's see. I mean, QQQ back to like 598 to 599. The SPY at SPY's gap golden pocket would be back up. Like for example, the market has not tested the 50% retrace of this overnight gap either. So that's obviously something you generally would expect is going to happen at some point. You know, whether that be sooner or later, etc. You know, so some other things we're thinking about. I want a real love, baby. Yep, so essentially we have Bitcoin that's just currently doing a little bit of a bounce out of our current sell target levels, which is really just bouncing kind of previous low area, VWAPs, etc. So, basic stuff. If and or when we take this out, and then we go down to there. Oh, no, I was just wondering if there was a different penny stock or something you may have added to or whatnot. I don't know. No good. Yeah, it's good. I mean, generally speaking, I mean, it's 10-17. I mean, like I said, we generally, right around 11 was where things really start to slow down. And, well, when we're in a volatility environment like this, it's actually, things can trade pretty good for, a good portion of the day, actually. So, because volatility's up right now. But, anyways. Oh, you know what? Should be looking at. Yeah, actually, I think we can arguably even get up to here right now on the SPY 659.45. That would be the 30-minute volume weighted average price from the overnight. That's also another decent area to maybe get that market up to. Also, like a little bit of a side note here is wait, one second. Yeah, I was gonna say that with this market selling off the way it did over the past couple days, it's caused a lot of stocks to go into downtrends, right? Big name ones, which also means now that they're in downtrends, the next thing to happen will eventually they go into an uptrend. So now is a kind of a good time to start keeping tabs on a lot of those bigger name stocks, AMDs, Nvidias, Teslas, whatever, right? Because with the downturn over the past week or so, when the market bounces or when the market goes back into a buy signal, we'll arguably start taking all of these stocks back into uptrends, or the stocks will start going into uptrends a little bit before, and that's how we'll create a buy signal on the market. But ultimately, you should be watching a lot of your big name stocks right now because they're in downtrends, and when they flip back into uptrends, that will create an opportunity for you to be more of a long bias, participant on those equities. For example, like today, Google is starting a 30-minute uptrend. Whether or not that lasts is another question, but that's one that's already kind of flipped back to positive a little bit. Oh boy, market's going up. You already know it's going to get that 30-minute VWAP. And we're looking to take the up to 598 or so. I mean, yeah. SPY up to like we said, that 65960s area. QQQ back towards 59745s, arguably towards 59820s, etc. All that would be great. Let me change the chart here from this maybe back to this anchor VWAPs. Where did all the drawings go? Maybe they're still populating. I don't know. Oh, I see. Oh yeah, guys, just an FYI, real quick. When the market gets above here, so I'm going to draw on the screen, when we start to get above here, that's where we look for the market to squeeze up long. Okay? So as it's drawn on the screen right there, when we get over here is when we're going to see the market do one of those. Okay? Right now we're still just basically doing oversold, bouncing back up, but we're still not actually in a positive market environment. Let me just double check. What? Something is. Why does this look so weird? Something is really not right. Oh, because that's a 9. See, that's right. The system, whenever I'm changing, it's getting all weird. I don't know what the heck is that. There we go. Yeah, so we don't have a positive market environment until we're trending above there. Minimum. Got it. Exactly, Matty. You waste no time, right? You just flip through them. If they're at the right level, you can participate. If not, you can't. And that's all it is, right? You'll catch more of them the earlier you wake up. If you wake up and start your day as every day, and I used to back in the day when I was doing really well in the penny stocks, I used to wake up at 4 or 5 in the morning every day. But if you wake up at 4 or 5 in the morning and you see the entire pre-market action, and you start your scans really early and start watching the biggest gainers list really early, you'll start to see a lot more of those stocks flipping those uptrends really early, and so on and so forth. So the earlier you get up, the more of the plays you'll see and then be involved in, because you're sitting in the game the whole time versus getting up, at 7, 8, or 9 and then looking, right? You might find some then, but you've missed a lot in the morning, right? And so, in the ideal time to be long, those penny stocks only last for minutes, if that, or seconds, right? So, you're watching, searching all morning for stocks that trigger those uptrends, and if you can find one at the right time doing it, then you can be long with very limited risk. So, your opportunity window is very, very small. Well, let me rephrase that. Your opportunity window is all day long, but of your opportunity all day long, the opportunity to click buy only lasts for seconds to maybe minutes throughout your entire, 8-hour trading session. Oh my gosh, the market went up. Where'd it go to? Oh, by the way, the SPY just hit the 597 whatever target we said it would go to. Yeah, or 659, 60s, fix whatever. So that's done. The QQQ pretty much hit 597.45 there. Again, all just good stuff. Market's just going up to where we said it would probably go up to. Nothing fancy. All pretty much basic stuff, right? The market is just, again, it's bullish. What do you expect, right? We're in a bearish market environment, and we're just doing an oversold bounce, right? So we've sold the markets down, and now we're bouncing them up, and all the market internals are bullish, right? So things are going up, right? It's pretty straightforward. Yeah, right on, right on, brothers. Oh, Google. That's what I'm talking about, baby. Ripping off that long. She's a ripping and she's a dipping. She's a ripping and she's a hitting the old skippings. Oh, wait. I forgot about that. Gotta go over to my friend Google. Gotta go to Googs. I'm being stupid right now. Trying to get my computer to work right. All right, so, or wait, there it is, 1.32. Risk is 0.5%. So that's gonna be okay. I see. Yeah, so obviously the SPY went up, basically hit targets we're looking for, so might be meeting some. See how we're like ran into our 30-minute volume weighted average price? So you guys can see here pretty clear on the screen. Ready? Look at, see that 30-minute volume weighted average price from yesterday? So this is a part of a 30-minute continuation VWAP strategy we use, basically anchored that high, come down, and there you go.
target. One of a target, right? So that's how we basically do that. So we just ran into 30-minute volume weighted average price right there. So that pretty much means that we're coming into a little bit of a 30-minute resistance area right now, give or take. Obviously, when I say 30-minute resistance, it's just that's a 30-minute VWAP. It could hold some resistance. Obviously, at the end of the day, you can have levels wherever you want to have levels, but it all depends on what the market internals do. So if the market internals kind of get bearish here, sure, but for the moment, they've just been screaming long by us all day. So, well, not all day, but most of the morning, if you will. Look at CLSK. CLSK actually does have decent momentum there. Mm-hmm. Um, 30-min, no GP. Oh, probably the one right in front of my face. Yeah, I am looking at that too. What was I looking at? Hold on, there was something. Yeah, we got actually did the golden pocket get tagged on this one? Hold on, I'm checking a couple from the other day. Yeah, so we got. Yeah, we pretty much we missed the 50. Well, we did miss the 50. We got the 60 on that one. Hold on one second. We missed that one, so that one's open for business. All right. Yeah, I think you're referring to the one on the current day. I'm assuming that's probably what you're talking about. See, beautiful 30-minute SPY candle, no GP, so it'd be this one right here. That's one you're thinking about. Yeah, so we have a no golden pocket tag on that guy. Let me double check some other stuff here. 5 minutes, we have maybe one. Let me just double check. I tried to install the GP tracker for the trading view, but it didn't really work that great. That's a no GP tag. What about this guy here? 100, there's a GP on that guy. Looks like a GP on that one. Looks like a GP on that one. No GP on this one is the way it looks too. So we have a no golden pot. Wait, why is this thing being stupid? Stop it. Stop it. No GP on that one either. So we do have a no golden pocket 5 minute here. There's a couple things for sure. The only way the momentum has to slow. So when I look here, again, the market internals will have to slow down. Everything has been bouncing long pretty much most of the morning. So the only way we're going to kind of either get the 30-minute GP, 5-minute GP there is we're going to have to slow momentum here. And some things will have to kind of change course a little bit. So far, that's not really happening. Things are kind of just So far, it has been grind. So we're gonna kind of just basically let that keep working. We still have the 50% retrace level 59824 of today's algo candle on QQQ. So arguably, maybe the Nasdaq wants to keep working itself up into the algo GP, right? Yeah, let me pull up the VIX. I haven't looked at that one for a little bit, because I knew that it just, well, actually, let me think. So yeah, if we look at the VIX here, we go to, let's see, 10-day 30 here. So we still have a ton of room down for the 10-day 30 minute, and we still have a decent amount of room down for the 15. Let's see about the 10. 10, that's unusual, or that's an hour. I was like, that doesn't make sense. Hold on. It's 5-day 10. The 10 and the 15 are about the same. What about the 5-day 5? 5-day 5 should calculate higher. What about the 1-day 1? 1-day 1 should be down. 1-day 1's down. All right. So that pretty much means that we're looking for VIX to pull back down to the 10-minute and the 15-minute trend right now, most likely. So therefore, we'd expect one of two things, which is either the VIX continues its sell-off down to the price of $20.19, and or the trend that's currently priced at $20.19 calculates higher and eventually meets price. So therefore, I would still be leaned long markets in the expectation that VIX comes down towards 2019, so on and so forth. So yeah. Oh yeah, but still, you said the 30 minutes. So let me just get into here. 30 minutes. You said no. Wait. And VIX now has two 30-minute candles with no GP. So I would be this one here off the high. Would be one of them, which is that mega doji looking candle. So that guy, and then you'd be looking at arguably here. Yep. So those two is what you're thinking. And we just hit the 161 there. Either way. So there's that. What about some, let's see, what about 5-minute gappies? What about the old 5-minute gappies? We have nothing there. Got a 5-minute gap there. So when the market falls apart, we're going to go back, obviously fill that gap here. Extend to the right. Where's that thing at? That's weird. Why isn't, can I not do that like that? Huh, weird. That is so, that's weird. I don't get it. Why I can't do that. So there's that gap. So gap down at 17 for us to fill on the VIX. Yeah, prior day high, that would make sense. Not too far off. 15-minute trend still below that. So as SMAs want to go back and forth, you know, or well, algorithms want to move things back and forth, the SMAs, yeah, previous day high would make sense. 1040. Right on. Yep, when the VIX is over 20, you're going to have just a more volatile trading environment, essentially, is all that's really going on. Definitely far more fun. You know, when the VIX starts getting out there, makes the market way more fun. You see things play out much quicker. Market moves good. You know. Anyways, I'm going to delete some of the stuff here on the screen. We don't need all this. We're just mixing multiple. Well, not really, but there we go. All right, let's take a second. Let's see what the internet has to say about today's stock market, and let's just all giggle. Well, they probably told you that it rebounded or something. Let's see. Dow drops 500 points as more China trade action sparks a return of sell-off to Wall Street. What sell-off are they referring to? What sell-off? Did you mean this huge bouncer Magoo? Look at that. 45 minutes ago, CNBC. 45 minutes ago, the market would be, well, down, but now we're up. Stock market today, Dow, S&P 500, and NASDAQ called lower amid revived China. So 2 hours ago, Market Watch said market is lower because of China. And now we're up. Silly Market Watch. Stock market today, Dow drops 500 points after U.S.-China tensions resurge. No. Wrong. The same person that works at CNBC must work at the Wall Street Journal and must work at Market Watch because they all say the same thing. The U.S. stock market today, S&P 500, Dow Jones slip as China vows countermeasures. Stocks fall as trade tensions. So basically the world's ending again for the millionth time. And the same person, and then there's one person that works at every news organization, and they just write the same thing. Mind you, we on the stream today, and since the highs of yesterday would be bearish, well, even bearish since last Friday, bearish the market overall. We started the morning bearish, then flipped back to bullish, and none of which was because of the China trade war or anything. But somehow CNBC knows it's got to all be China. CNBC, oh, it's all China. It's China and the trade war. That's why we're going down. I mean, arguably, that's just what's going on in the world at the same time we're going through a sell program. So, yeah, I mean, that's what I would tell the public, too. You see how that works, guys? You guys remember the last sell program we were in? It was because of the government shutdown, right? But now the reason the market's going down is because of China, right? But I don't know if you guys remember this one. You guys remember, this was probably like maybe a year ago now. Remember the market was going down and there was all of the talks of the yen carry trade. You guys, that was a big one. You guys remember the yen carry trade, market pullback, etc.? And that one was going to end the world again. What about that one? Right? So I thought the market was going down because of the yen carry trade. Well, that didn't kill the market. Market went back into a buy signal, and then the market was fine because inflation was coming down. And now fast forward a couple of years later, we go into a sell program a couple weeks ago, and it's the government shutdown. All right, and now we've gone into a new sell program, and now it's the China trade fear, whatever, right? So whatever is going on around you at the time of the markets flipping buy and sell programs, the news will just feed you whatever's going on in the world, and then attach that to the price action of the market. Okay. Which obviously most of you guys in this stream probably know by now, but we always repeat it over and over and over, and we'll continue to do that. And the reason, and not the reason, but I think what the more eye-opening part would be is that if you follow the system we always preach here on this YouTube stream, or just in general, right? In the 50 SMA strategy, even some of the standard deviation stuff. If you look at the standard deviation stuff, right, you go look at the news will be telling you it's the best stock ever, buy it when it's trading at +4. Or when the market's in a bear market and it's all the way down trading at -4, -3, the market's over, it's the worst thing ever, and that would be the perfect time to be buying, right? But then, yeah, if you look at the SMA systems, right, if you look at the SMA system we're always preaching, no matter what, the market will trade bullish above and it's going to flip bearish below to a degree, right? It's just going to happen for the end of time. So the market will constantly go from bullish, bearish, bullish, bearish, bullish, bearish, bullish, bearish, bullish, bearish, right? And whenever that happens, you see the news flip bullish, bearish, bullish, bearish, bullish, bearish, bullish, bearish, bullish, bearish, right? The news will be different every time for the most part, but the level that dictates bullish, bearish never changes, right? So there's a constant level that always dictates, for the most part, bullish, bearish, and that never changes. It's the same thing over and over and over. But what's different is the news is different every single time it flips, right? So is it the news controlling the market? No. Or is it simply the trends? The trends are what control the market up and down. And then outside of that, there's always something different going on in the news, right? Anywho, this has been a fantastic day, because not only did we suggest the early morning short to the exact bottom of the market, we also recommended staying long for pretty much the exact high of the market, which is here, right? The 30-minute VWAP, the golden pocket price of the NASDAQ, etc., 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 right? So yeah, so my suggestion would be to not be as long bias on this high. I know that sounds, you were seeing the market come down now, and now I'm saying it, but either way, right? We've come into the 30-minute VWAP. If the 30-minute market wants to lower high, this is where it would do it. So if I bring up this regular trading hours chart, right? So if the 30-minute market wants to lower high, then this would be its start point on the 30-minute right there. So if, again, what you saw is down, then you saw up, up, then a rollover and down. This would be the counter back to the 30-minute, and then continuation down for the 30-minute system there. So what you're seeing is sort of that rejection on the high of this move at a volume weighted average price zone at the golden pocket of the NASDAQ, etc. What do you think about 30 minutes generally coming back half or more? I don't know how I don't really know what you mean by that question. If you're talking about retracing golden pockets, or coming back half of what? Correction? I mean, yeah, I don't know. I still don't know what you mean. Yeah, correction of what, you know? Oof. Yeah, I mean, CLSK, I mean, I don't, yeah, I mean, I don't know if, yeah, I'm not sure what you mean. I mean, I see it's pulling back, sure, but, yeah, I mean, it's still in an uptrend overall, so, Gold, another new all-time high. Right on. US 10-year just basically sitting right at there. Okay. Oh boy. Yep, sorry, just kind of sitting here. Not a whole lot to say, guys. We've already mapped the market off pretty much near perfect today, so, you know. Yeah, I'm not really putting a whole lot of thoughts into currently what's next. Um, Obviously, I can muster up something. I mean, easily you could go down to 1 minute time frames and figure out where 1 minute micro higher lows and stuff are going to be. Don't really care to do that for the moment. Yeah, I mean, market still needs to back test the 10 SMA as well. If you look at the 10 SMA here on SPX, that's untested from its last time it moved away from it. So that's also what you're going to see happen next, whether it be the price break up and go to or the 10 SMA come down to. You'll see that kind of complete soon. So essentially, price meeting the 10 SMA is what I'd assume is probably next on deck, just because it's just common to see prices move to and from the 10 SMA there, and hasn't quite done that on the 30-minute. Also, too, just an FYI that, right, so look at the market, or you can look at my screen. Market is still below the 50 SMA, so this is a bearish market environment. Bounce, roll over, bounce. So the market is still on the negative side of trend. We haven't flipped positive. So there's a couple ways to think of this, which is, not that the market's going to do this, but if the market wanted to, it could go all the way back up to the 50 SMA and then still be bearish, right? So essentially, you have markets can go all the way to 50 SMA before they even flip positive, right? So there's still a lot of room that the market could transition higher and still be kind of in a bearish market environment. So either way, all this means is that we're just bouncing the market right now. We have quite a bit of time before the 50 SMA catches up price, so we're not going to be looking at transitioning the market back to a swing long market today. Most likely, probably won't even be tomorrow. So probably the next most important thing we're going to be doing, arguably, is seeing this 50 SMA catch up to the price point, and then we get to decide if we're going to flip the market back to a swing long or if we're going to continue the sell move, if you will. So that's arguably what is a big thing that we'll need to see happen next. And actually, even though we're in a I would say, even though we're kind of in a bearish environment, yeah, never mind. We still gotta wait. What's the difference between SPX and SPY? SPY is an ETF. SPY is an ETF, a little bit cheaper. SPX is the actual indice. But they're just two different ticker symbols. One's an ETF, and one's not an ETF, essentially. SPY is what most people can afford and use for investing, and so on and so forth, and what have you. Also, if you look at SPX, there is no pre-market action, so yeah. SPY, there is some pre-market action. And SPX is the true one. So like when we talk about the 50 SMA trend, ideally SPX is like truly the parent one that we look at. We also look at SPY just because most people look at SPY, but ultimately the real trend is derived from SPX. But we do use both SPY and SPX hand in hand. 12 minutes ago, S&P falls again after one-day respite as China trade tensions persist. Wall Street dips as China tensions simmer. Oh yeah, does Wall Street dip, or you mean absolutely dip to rip? I don't know. Whoever's working at Reuters deserves it. Probably just take a long extended period of time off. Oh, little. Interesting. Currently looking at the stock TSM. I like I don't really like. I'm just saying it market, but TSM, it's interesting. For those that know the systems, you'll know why. Bring up I'll bring it up real quick. All right, so let's bring up TSM. Why is TSM interesting? Because it's right at the over-under. So that was a downtrend, oversold bounce, recovery, back to a short-term trading uptrend. Then today, gap down below 50 SMA, so breakdown, and now that's a back test. So arguably this is where resistance starts, and or we're at the level where we flip back to bullish, right? So obviously keeping tabs on TSM because I think that would make sense. So we're gonna add a little line right there, go to a 1 minute, and this right here would be the 50 SMA back test and or over under. Well, yeah. And if we put this real quick on a pre-market, you'll see that's exactly where the market probably broke down today. So if we go to equities, and we'll extend this a little left, extend left. I mean, it's not the greatest breakdown. We sold off way before that, but ultimately this, we would say this is the 50 SMA breakdown. So there's your breakdown. And then here's your market coming to back test. All right. Ultimately. We'll just put that guy right about there. Also, as you can see there, the market has pretty much caught the 10 SMA on the SPX, even though it hasn't fully tagged. But either way, you can see where's market press up pretty much all the way to 10 SMA. Pretty basic stuff. Here's another like thing. So look at ready. See how consumer staples. Well, it's 1 second. See how consumer staples today is one of the leading sectors today. Have a good day, Rico. Yeah, but you see how consumer staples is one of the leading sectors here, right? And if you are to bring up XLP, which is the consumer staple sectors, what do you notice today? So we go to that website. It shows us the leading sectors, whatever. What's the leading green sector today? Consumer staples. What did consumer staples do today? XLP, it went into an uptrend. All right. So you come into the sector tractor, you go, oh, consumer staples is doing good today. XLP is doing good, so let's go look at XLP. We look at XLP and go, oh, XLP started an uptrend today at whatever time that was and whatever price that was. Go look at it on a 1 minute. Where's the uptrend start? Right here. So essentially break over. That's uptrend start. That's backtest the uptrend and go. Now has become the leading sector for the day after its buy signal. So what are you going to do? Now you're going to go look into consumer staples. What are the leading stocks in the consumer staples sector? Walmart, Kroger, Dollar Tree, and Target, and Dollar General, and blah, blah, blah. So what we're going to do, we're going to go and look at Walmart, WMT. Let's take a peek. Walmart. Wait, why does this look weird? Oh, it's down here. That's why. So Walmart 30-minute trend. Where is the 30-minute trend? So here's the 30-minute trend for Walmart. Where is the 30-minute trend start? The 30-minute trend starts at 102.13. All right, so we're going to go back to Walmart. Where's 102.13? Exactly where the market essentially breaks out today, and boom, explosive up. So Walmart started a buy signal today. What about, it was Target, TGT. Target's doing pretty well. Did it start an uptrend? It's trying to. Just getting clear there. So Target just arguably trying to get into an uptrend right now. Oh, gosh. Oh, what was the other one? Let me move this up to here. That was Target. Then we had Kroger, so KR. Kroger started an uptrend right there. So Kroger starts an uptrend today. Right there. We'll bring this up. Where did Kroger start an uptrend today? Yellow line. So Kroger opened up, back tested the breakout from the pre-market, back under during the regular hours, broke out, back tested support, and then there's the long move of today's buy signal on Kroger. All right, moving to Dollar Tree, DLTR. DLTR, let's see, when did this thing start a buy move? So this thing's been in a long move since like last week, so let's map that off. So that's where it went into a buy move last week. Go into Dollar Tree here, 5-day, 5-minute, etc., etc. So Dollar Tree went into a buy signal over this yellow line. This was a back test, hold, back test, hold, back test, continue holding, launch up, cool, another back test, another hold, and continuation, etc. So this one's been in a buy signal for a couple days now, weeks or whatnot. So that's Dollar Tree. Dollar General. Dollar General will probably look similar to Dollar Tree. It probably started an uptrend a couple days ago. Yeah, so Dollar Tree and Dollar General, pretty much the same there. We can see that the uptrend started here on Dollar General a couple days, weeks back, whatever. And that was at the price of $97.79. So pretty much opens up and just never breaks down. So Dollar Tree doing pretty well in that regard. Monster Beverage, MNST. What about this guy? This guy's actually not in a buy move yet. SYY. SYY just started a potential long today. 83. That could be interesting. We'll have to keep SYY on tabs because that one just started an uptrend today. So it may not be bad. So arguably we'll watch SYY. A little SYY. Could throw in some dippies on it. Anyway, so that's basically how you flip through different leading sectors and figure out which stocks are moving those specific areas. Like, for example, right, if we looked at XLK, which is technology, right? So if we come in here and we look at technology, I'm going to throw some dip. I'm going to start probably looking to accumulate some onto SYY in my smaller Roth account. So kind of watching that guy like that. Go back into the sector trackers here. Oh yeah, technology, sorry. Technology, what do we got here? Or wait. Hold up. Oh, I know why, because I'm looking at, all right, yeah, there we go. Which is actually interesting. Okay, so XLK. Yeah, XLK's is down. XLK started a selling I see. So XLK started the selling operation a few days back. So obviously we're basically doing the sell signal with XLK right now. Ooh, I gotta start watching these sectors a little bit more. I'm starting to see how this market works even better now. It's just one of those things I was never. I mean, obviously I know how sectors work, but it's just I couldn't figure out how it might tie into my strategy. I think I just didn't have enough brain capacity then, but now I do. Anyways, so yeah, I kind of like that SYY because it just started an uptrend. So arguably, if that thing dips back down to support, we'll probably look for a little ads on that and whatever other stock I can find that I may like. Apple not doing so good there. That's not good for Apple. Netflix starting to get arguably a little bit interesting as well too. If you look at our friend Netflix is starting to come into its 50 SMA. So this is arguably where you're going to look for resistance first, generally speaking, and then, maybe break later. So I'll explain this real quick. So if you look at Netflix is becoming a little more interesting. Why? Because if you look where the breakdown was, it was here through the 50 SMA. And now for the regular trading hours, this would be a back test. Because if you look in here, you really didn't test it right. So you had the breakdown, see? And then that candle never tested, none of it's tested, right? It may have tested during the pre-market or after hours today, but that's not regular trading hours. But let's double check. Kind of. It got close in the after hours, but not quite. So I would assume the market on Netflix is trying to get back to that 50 SMA. That would be my assumption. We'll see, but again, that's the over-under right now is that yellow line. So kind of feel like Netflix is trying to work itself back to that 50 SMA price to kind of play that game of whether or not it wants to reject, continue lower, and so on and so forth. Standard deviation on SPY, yeah, I mean, we could take a peek. I actually don't know exactly where we're trading, but the last time I checked, we were trading +1, so I'd say we're probably trading at the mean, or maybe neg1, but neg1 would be a lot. Yeah, no, not even close. We're not even at the mean, so that means the market's still, in theory, overvalued here. So I'll bring it up real fast. SPY. Actually, well, yeah. So if you look at the SPY here, 1 year day, SPY, I'll delete this randomness here. Don't even really need it. So you can see SPY is trading at whatever this is. It's coming off of +1. It hasn't even hit the mean. So in theory, this market's still overvalued by over the past year by about 4%, 3.42. So right now, again, we have the market. It's overvalued by about 3.4%. All right. Standard deviation on gold I haven't, but I can imagine it's probably pretty high. GLD. Or wait, I have looked at it. Well, it's been a while since I looked at this. Yeah, gold is actually not as high as I thought it might be, and I remember I looked at this a little bit ago. So gold still is. If you ask me, gold is still just trading. I'll bring it over. So if you look at gold, gold's only trading at +1. So when I say only, it means it's overvalued as far as standard deviation, right? But it's not what we would call like a, for me, this is not what I would say is a blow off top market or a very, very exuberant market. I would say the market is trading only one standard deviation away from the mean. So I would say that's like normal trading distribution patterns. I wouldn't say that gold is doing anything that's outside the norm, really. It's all pretty basic, there. I'd say it's all normal stuff. So yeah. Yeah, 1 year, 1 day. 1 year, 1 day. 1 year, 1 week. Yeah. Well, any hooser, I gotta get ready to go for a meeting, so I will catch you guys back tomorrow morning. Cheers. Have a good one.